Welcome everyone to today's webinar, TrueBuilt AI Takeoff and Estimation in the Cloud. This webinar is sponsored and presented by TrueBuilt. My name is Tao Nguyen, AWCI's Education Program Manager. At this time, I'd like to introduce our presenter, John Sibley. John is the founder and CEO of TrueBuilt, a next-generation pre-construction platform. He launched TrueBuilt in 2022 after attempting to purchase a drywall company in Southern California and discovering just how badly legacy and on-prem tools are failing estimators. John has more than 8 years of experience in enterprise software and holds an MBA from USC Marshall and a BA in Law and Economics from UC Berkeley. Welcome, John.
Thanks for having me. All right, we can go ahead and get started. Like it was just shared, I'm John Sibley, CEO and founder of TrueBuilt, and we're a takeoff, estimation, supplier quoting platform. And really today, I'm here to talk about the future of construction, specifically the future of construction when it comes to AI. I started my career in 2015 at a natural language processing firm, NLP. You can think of that as a precursor to ChatGPT, and I've been very lucky to be at the forefront of AI and the AI revolution for my entire career as a technologist. And that rate of change that we're experiencing right now is absolutely astronomical. It's blinding how fast it's going, and every day there's some sort of innovation that is happening. And this isn't just some sci-fi fantasy, right? It's happening on job sites across the world. But before we dive into TrueBuilt's role in this revolution, I really just want to start with the stakes. AI is changing how we build, how we compete, and how we win. And as technologists and US contractors, we really have to make sure that we're working together to build solutions that bridge the gap between, in our case, what estimators are used to today and how powerful they can be with modern AI. And lastly, at the end of the presentation, we'll go into a bit more about TrueBuilt and really hone in on why we're not just another tech vendor, but that partner that you need to stay ahead. Now, there's a lot of noise in the world of AI, right? It's the biggest buzzword in the industry. It gets super confusing. There's just no way to really keep up with all the news that's coming out every single day. So I just wanted to start the presentation today with just some very, very basic facts for AI in construction. Number one is that AI has arrived for construction. It is here, it's no longer a pipe dream. Everyone on this call needs to have a strategy for AI. Number two, AI will replace humans. Now this is definitely the longer time horizon, but on that long enough time horizon, this will in fact happen. We're already starting to see a little bit of it, but I just want people to grasp the magnitude of what work will transform to in this world of AI. There's a lot of talk online about the AI revolution being compared to the agriculture revolution or the industrial revolution. In reality, I think those minimize it. This is like a revolution that existed when humans learned to write for the very first time. It's going to fundamentally change all of society, and construction is a big, big part of that. And lastly, it is here, but it's still in its infancy. And so again, as technologists and as contractors, we have to be very, very careful in how we build and approach these new tools so that we can build buildings and create technology solutions together in tandem. And if we take a look at where the AI adoption curve is today, construction is a very tough business. We have the cost overruns, we have safety risks, labor shortages. For years, construction's really been one of the least digitized industries, stuck in a world of paper and pen and Excel and gut instinct sometimes. But AI is flipping that script. It's not just a tool, it's a true force multiplier. Right now, AI is doing things that we couldn't dream of a decade ago. We have computer vision that can scan job sites in real time, it can spot safety hazards before they turn into accidents. We have machine learning to crunch data to optimize designs, to generate new designs rather quickly, and help us cut costs while boosting energy efficiency. There's this looming idea of robotics in construction as well. We're already seeing robots that can lay bricks, they can pour concrete, they can move materials with precision that humans just can't match. And last, we have predictive analytics that are forecasting project outcomes and helping us avoid delays and budget blowouts. And the numbers back this up. So global spending on AI in construction hit 1.8 billion in 2024, up from about 1.4 billion the year before. This is according to an Autodesk study. And by 2026, it's projected to reach 2.6, so almost doubling year over year. And most experts estimate that about 30% of construction tasks can be automated in some way with AI. So that's not just efficiency, that's an entire structural shift. And here's the catch. AI isn't magic. It's only as good as the data we feed it. Integrating it into the legacy software solutions is a nightmare if you don't do it right. And there's always this risk of overhype, right? Everyone is tired of hearing about how AI is going to change the world. Everyone's tired of Silicon Valley coming into construction and overpromising and ending up, delivering a clunky solution. So if we look at this AI adoption curve, we're right here. We're ready to make the leap over the chasm and start enabling the very early majority of contractors to leverage AI. But like I said before, this requires teamwork. It requires us on the technology side to build products that are more powerful, yet still familiar to users. And that's why I've always said that the best AI will replace the engine, not the car. The winners in this space won't be the ones with the flashiest tech, but the ones who focus on practical and reliable and simple solutions. It's really the ones, when we think about it, that get the fundamentals right. Now, some of you on the call probably know this already. In a former life, I was a Team USA athlete. And in training for the Olympics, I learned that winning isn't about being the strongest or the flashiest. It's about mastering the fundamentals, day in and day out. TrueBuilt is built on that same principle, and the best AI companies will do the same. We're not here to dazzle with overhyped tech or promise miracles. We're here to give you a platform that's steady, reliable, and lets your team perform at its peak. Every estimate, every bid, every job. So let me take you back to the founding story of TrueBuilt. It wasn't some grand vision launched in a Silicon Valley boardroom. It was born out of frustration. It was mentioned over in the introduction, but after 6 years in tech, I went to business school here in Southern California. And my plan was to buy some kind of blue collar industrial business, modernize it with software, improve profit margins, and scale it. And through this process, I looked at everything you can imagine. I looked at buying a fencing company. I looked at buying a pull route, even a golf cart dealership, which would have been fun, but maybe isn't the most profitable. But I also looked at a drywall business. And it became very clear very quickly that their pre-construction process was a mess. You all know and are familiar with this. We have pen and paper, Excel hacked together that someone who's no longer on the team anymore made 10 years ago. It's just a very clunky and messy way of doing pre-con. And so I dug deeper and found out that pre-construction and the lack of technology, modern technology for pre-con, wasn't specific to this particular company that I was looking at buying. I learned that it was an industry-wide problem. And while Procore had really owned that project management space and Autodesk had really owned that design space, no one had truly owned pre-construction in the same way. Right? There's no publicly traded company that was built on pre-construction. And I ended up scrapping my plan to buy a business and instead sought to make a software company. TrueBuilt was really born to fix this problem, that legacy and on-prem takeoff and estimation solutions are truly failing estimators. 3 years later, we are now the go-to solution for trade partners and self-performing GCs. And we're really leveraging TrueBuilt's cloud-based and AI enablement to help our customers win more bids. These legacy solutions that are on-prem, so they're just narrowed onto an old Dell laptop, lead to lost bids, they lead to costly overruns, higher IT costs and server costs, security risk. There's been a lot of news lately about different security hacks that have happened with the on-prem solutions. And it leads to inaccurate estimates and lost bids, which is the biggest thing. And so with TrueBuilt, we've really tried to hone in on building a better way. But like I said before, we didn't reinvent the wheel here, right? We are building that engine. We are not replacing the car itself. And so we are currently the only AI takeoff estimation software purely in the cloud, built specifically by and for drywallers. Our platform supercharges estimator productivity and increases revenue. We do this by increasing takeoff speed by 200% with the AI solutions that we'll go through in a moment. We can automate material and labor estimation and reporting. We enable multiple estimators to collaborate live time, like literally live time. You can see them moving around the screen if you choose to. By being cloud-based, we're reducing IT complexity and cost. And we are able to leverage for the very first time the full power of having cloud-native databases. And all of this, again, is to help you win more bids. Like, that's the name of the game. That's why TrueBuilt exists. And that's really what sets us apart. And so the 4 pillars that allow us to do this is that security element, so enterprise-grade encryption to keep your data safe, period. We have the cloud-based accessibility. You can work from anywhere, office, job site, or stuck in traffic on any device. And then the multi-database integration. So we can pull your historical, supplier, individual estimator, office data, all different catalogs and materials boards that can go into the TrueBuilt platform. So it's very, very flexible in that way. And so with our customers, we've really tried to strike that balance between what's familiar and where we have been able to provide innovation. That's what that first quote is highlighting up here, is that we really, really want to emphasize the need to not reinvent the wheel and take what your estimators are used to, but give it that more powerful engine with AI. And so a few different ways we do that. We're going to do this. Number one is our AI Takeoff. So this allows you to instantly find, count, and measure components. This allows a one-click detection and measurement of wall types, ceiling textures, floor types, trim and bead, doors, windows, really any kind of tag or any kind of data that's in there. I think everyone here probably intuitively knows this, but ultimately AI in estimation and takeoff is going to depend on the data provided by the architect. And as we all know, architects, my father-in-law's one, they have a different way of doing things every single time, even from the same architect. So it can be very, very confusing. And so we've tried to take our AI tools, we've built our models in-house and trained it across a variety of plans. And that's allowed us to create this method of automated takeoff. You know, we can auto count objects in just seconds with 90% accuracy. It instantly syncs with your estimation. So within the TrueBuilt platform, you can have unlimited tabs or windows open, and there's no lag between takeoff and estimation. You can navigate back and forth seamlessly. And you're also able to build out your assemblies, your master items, your components based on your existing cost catalogs and historical data. So again, a very flexible way to navigate between different costs depending on what the project is looking for. Here's an example of our AI for partition types. I'm going to select a tag, and TrueBuilt is going to go through with our AI model and find all walls with that same tag. So it's a much faster way than having to manually draw it. We do have all the manual tools, but you don't have to do it. We can just add it to Takeoff, and in a few seconds, you have taken off that partition type. In a similar way, we can use this for reflected ceiling plans. So with one single click, we're going to go quick rooms, skip the tutorial, and TrueBuilt's going to pull out gypsum, ACT, and paint within the ceiling types. From here, I can build out my component and my individual items or assemblies. So again, just a very, very quick way of being able to do takeoff. Smarter estimation. So we can improve cost, accuracy, and clarity at every step. Our estimation engine supports assembly, database, and conceptual driven estimation. So really any phase of the project. And then we have a very flexible materials, labor, markups, and payroll modules. You have custom reports, you can templatize them. We have some pre-baked reports that you can use as well. But ultimately how we work with our customers and our partners is that if you have existing reports and we onboard you to TrueBuilt, like send us those reports and we'll build it into the system for you. And that's the level of support you can expect with TrueBuilt. And then, like I said, we have that instant sync with Takeoff, and you're being able to pull that cost data from your different databases that exist today, or you can create new ones. And coming soon, we're going to have databases directly from suppliers, and I'll touch more on that in a second. So a quick example of our multi-database functionality, I'm building out a condition, I'm going to add a master item, and I can switch between any office. So these are all different databases. I can find the item I need, in this case, Rocktop, and add that directly. So that ability to go back and forth between different databases unleashes this new level of collaboration amongst estimators. You can have multiple estimators working on this project at the exact same time. You can see each other build out your bids and your estimates. And you can navigate back and forth between different office databases or estimator databases. So, let's say someone's in Houston, but they're helping bid for a project in Nashville, they can use that Nashville database. The other database that you have pre-baked into TrueBuilt is your historical data. So any data that you're going to be using within TrueBuilt or do use within TrueBuilt is automatically saved and stored in its own database, and that can be leveraged for faster estimates much faster. Cool. We also have an advanced markups engine. So a very quick way to come in, start being flexible with markups. Again, this is where that familiarity comes in. Indirect expenses. And then I have a robust estimation platform, just covering materials, labor, equipment. If you sub anything out, we can build that in as well. All of your payroll in your existing database will be pulled into TrueBuilt too. And as I click through here, I also have the ability to use our AI plan assistant. So our AI assistant does automated renaming and hyperlinking of the entire plan set, and it processes about 1,000 pages in 5 seconds or less. It allows us for unlimited document storage, and you can chat directly with your plans or your historical data using this plan assistant. So an example here, I'm just going to upload a document for my first bid for this particular project. And you can see what TrueBuilt has done is pulled out the scale, the sheet name, we can see the file name there, we can verify it with a quick preview, and then I can add all these sheets to my bid directly. Next, supplier management. So we actually see a higher rate of response from suppliers that are being connected from our quoting system. So we're able to generate automatic quote sheets that can be sent directly from an estimator's email. Instead of the TrueBuilt domain, you do have the option to do the TrueBuilt domain as well. But we see a higher response rate with it coming from your email directly, because someone says, oh, Steve, we worked on a project last year, like I better respond to that right away. We also have a quote comparison and quote leveling to bring that supplier response back into the estimate. And then an audit trail as well, so you can see how that individual item has changed over time. This also allows us to populate into that existing estimate and do change orders later on the project lifecycle. So an example here, I'm just going to select a few items. Let's go by cost code, highlight them, do a new quote. I can fill out with any number of details. I'm going to submit this. And then I'm going to add my individual suppliers, in this case, Takahashi and Sibley Supplies. It's our demo environment. I'm going to add the suppliers directly, and then now I'll have the ability to send via my email as the estimator, or send via TrueBuilt and get that response back, and then ultimately level that back into our estimate. Switching. So that's the biggest question I always get in our sales meetings, in my conversations with contractors, is everyone's been burned by switching too quickly. We've never had switching to TrueBuilt be any easier than it is today. Recently, we took kind of a side mission and created this customized onboarding tool. So if you have cost databases through a legacy provider, we can now transition that over to TrueBuilt in about 1 hour. And get you up and running in that time. And then just to recap, what you're getting with your TrueBuilt engagement is that AI Takeoff, estimation and reporting, materials board and historical data, supplier quoting, that AI plan management and auto naming, and then 100% cloud-based with offline availability. So even if you lose internet, you can still use our Takeoff platform. And then once you get internet back on, that'll automatically sync and you can go from there. I think the ultimate goal of TrueBuilt is to enable collaboration at speed. And a lot of the AI stuff we talked about at the beginning of this webinar was focused on increasing speed of takeoff or speed of completing estimation. But I always say that people, come to TrueBuilt because they're excited about AI. They come to TrueBuilt because they're excited about what we're doing with computer vision. But ultimately, they stay with us because they're becoming browser-based for the very first time. This means you're not going to be doing any clunky, slow updates to your on-prem software. It means you can seriously reduce the cost of running your servers for all these different documents. It means your estimators can really access TrueBuilt and any of the plans on any device, anywhere, anytime. And it gives you the more secure way of accessing and storing your data in your plans. And again, it's something that we think about a lot is, how do we leverage that enterprise level of security that is available on the cloud, whereas a on-prem solution, cannot be that secure. So while everyone is excited about AI and computer vision, remember my 3 points. Number 3, it is in its infancy. We have to have a strategy for it, and we have to build it together. But ultimately, right now, why estimators come to the TrueBuilt platform and stick with the TrueBuilt platform is becoming cloud-based for the very first time. So you can reach out to me. We'll put my contact information in the follow-up to this, or you can go to truebuiltsoftware.com and a member of our sales team will reach out to you. You can request a demo. You can get on the phone right away. And for anyone on this webinar, we are offering a free trial of the TrueBuilt platform. So please take us up on that. We'd love to get feedback. We have a very, very talented team of engineers, and you can ask some of our current customers, like they'll make requests of us for features, or they'll find some bugs that need to be fixed, and our guys can answer those questions and respond and actually create new features within hours, if not shorter, depending on what the issue is. So yeah, thank you for having me today. Just wanted to give a brief overview of where AI and estimation is going in the TrueBuilt platform. We're the new kids on the block. Would love for everyone on this call to be able to give us a try. Thank you.
Thank you, John. There's a couple questions coming in here. Can the software work offline if you don't have Wi-Fi?
Yes. So on the Takeoff side, it can. So if you're not going to be using estimation and you do lose internet, or you're not going to have internet, you can have your Takeoff preloaded. And then once it does connect to Wi-Fi eventually, it'll be synced, and that Takeoff will come over and that'll sync to estimation as well.
Great. What challenges have you faced in developing and implementing TrueBuilt's technology?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I was saying before, of how we have to work in partnership with our contractors. In some ways, we over-innovated when we first tried to build version 1 of TrueBuilt 2 years ago. And in the last year, we've really honed in on what our customers are directly asking for. So when I talk to our investors or other people in the tech community, I always say we very, very specifically do not have a product manager who's in charge of making decisions for the TrueBuilt platform. Our customers are our product manager, and our customers are guiding us on what to build. And that allows us to strike that correct balance of innovation and familiarity.
Next question is a two-parter here. So what's the cost of TrueBuilt, and is there a discount for 2-user or multi-users?
Yes, so the pricing does depend by the number of users. One interesting thing we've done is offer free collaborator seats, unlimited across the enterprise. So if you have a project manager who's going to be using it for change orders, or just wants to use it to look at the plans, That's completely free. We're only charging for the estimation seat, and it depends directly on the number of estimators that you have for the cost.
What are your plans for the future of TrueBuilt? So what new features or expansion on the horizon?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, we're going to continue to develop our AI solutions. AI models like we saw with that reflected ceiling plan or the partition types require, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands really of data to be trained on. And so we're going to continue to invest in that. In terms of what we're building from a feature perspective next, we're going to take a look in building something for the 3D world. Right now, TrueBuilt is just 2D. But really, we don't want to overexpand too fast. I think we've seen this a lot in the construction tech industry is, companies come in and they try to build for everyone at once. So we're very narrowly focused on serving drywall right now and making it just the best takeoff and estimation platform without getting into project management or any other tools.
Is there a limit to the number of projects that one can have on the platform?
No, and this goes for the estimator seat itself, but also the organization. So because we're cloud-based, we have unlimited data storage. You can have any number of plans, any number of projects running on the platform at the same time, and they're accessible, like I said, from anywhere, anytime.
Okay, and lots of good questions coming in here. Is TrueBuilt able to integrate with accounting software that people have?
We do have an open API. We haven't done it yet. It's definitely been requested of us, and it's something that we'll probably look into. So we do have the capability, but it's not currently supported.
And then what percentage of your customers are commercial versus residential?
Yeah, 95% are commercial. We do have a handful of residential, but it's mostly commercial. And we work with some very, very large contractors who are doing work on airports, hospitals, huge multifamily buildings. And I think what we've seen with TrueBuilt and why AI can be so impactful is some of these very complicated projects that require multiple estimators to work together to generate a bid. Speed and accuracy are king in that environment. So large commercial projects, I would say, are bread and butter.
Great. Specifically, can TrueBuilt recognize not only door openings, but tie door mark numbers with hardware schedules?
Yeah, that's something we're working on right now of extracting the data from the schedule and then pairing it with the takeoff. Actually, I had a meeting, I think 2 days ago on our progress on that, so we're beta testing it right now. One of the things that we've learned in our 2.5 years of TrueBuilt is we don't want to release AI models until we know they're ready. Once we know they're ready, we want people testing it and stress testing it and giving us feedback. But we don't want to release them too quickly, otherwise people just won't trust it.
And then I'm not sure if you can do that now, but can you demonstrate pricing the wall, that you took an example of earlier?
Yeah, so very similar to some of the legacy tools that are out there, you're going to build out multiple items from your master database. And then you're also going to be able to pull in assemblies. And then we also have templates of components. So let's say you do the same type of project every time, you use roughly the same set of components every time, and they're roughly built out the same. We have those templates that you can have saved, and then you can just upload it and you're off to the races.
Next question, can I have multiple estimators working on the same project at the same time?
Yes, and it's literally live collaboration. So, you have one estimator in one office in Salt Lake City and the others down in Phoenix. They can be working on the project at the same time. We do have the ability for there to be one lead estimator for every project. And that lead estimator can assign permissions for all the other estimators who are going to be participating in that project. You can imagine, if there's a very experienced team with one junior estimator, you might restrict what that junior estimator can overwrite for the overall project.
And is the software able to give like individual quantities of nails, screws, tapes, you know, accommodating for human waste factor? Is that built in there?
Yep, it's all pre-built in there. Obviously, the cost is going to be coming from your database of all that, but you can do that for labor, you can do that for waste. This is where that kind of familiarity factor comes in.
And then, how long will the free trial work? Or how long is the free trial?
Yeah, so it'll be a 1-month pilot. We have like a onboarding schedule that we'll use to, have a training for the very first meeting, 3 subsequent trainings, but we have estimators on staff. I give all of my customers my cell phone number, and we have 24/7 support in the app, so you can actually chat within the app. You can also give feedback within the app. And like I said, 24/7, we're very responsive.
And last question here, can I export data from the platform, like my estimates or takeoff quantities?
Yes, so you can export the takeoff quantities, you can export takeoff itself with the legend, and then you can export the databases, and then you can export the estimate and any reports that you make. So think of that endpoint as, maybe like a vendor summary or a bid summary. Any of those reports, you can generate a PDF, you can export them to Excel. It truly is very, very flexible in that way.
Great, thank you for all that information. That concludes the Q&A portion. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to John. Make sure to take him up on his deal right there that he presented earlier. Thank you to TrueBuilt for sponsoring this webinar, and thanks for everyone for attending. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.